everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we get started, welcome everybody. I'm sure I see lots of staff in the audience, so I'm sure you were very busy today, so thank you for being here. I do have, I'm going to request a motion, an amendment to the agenda to add a music teacher, Allison Johnston, to our agenda. So can I please have a motion to add her?
I move that we add Allison Johnston to our agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll move her under C. One second. So first by Deb, second by Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. New hire. I'm gonna need 1 minute. Make sure I have this correct. Okay. Whew. So this is one of the exciting things that we get to do as a board member. So we want to give each of you your own moment in the spotlight. So we will listen to our administrators introduce you, and then after all three of you have been introduced, we'll come out and congratulate you. So I think first is Ms. Wilson.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to come tonight. It is my pleasure to bring forth Ms. Colby Whitaker as a candidate for the Little Hornet lead teacher position in a Great Start Readiness classroom. Colby has earned her bachelor's degree in urban ministry, as well as her master's in social work from Spring Arbor University. She's currently completing her internship hours for school social work certification. Colby's passion for teaching has really come through in her last 3 years within the Little Hornet program, where she worked with our full-day students as an assistant teacher in the classroom. This position was posted and several candidates were invited to interview. During the interview process, Colby really impressed the entire panel with her knowledge and genuine respect for young children's learning. The panel unanimously recommended her for this position. Several comments from the interview panel included that she really articulated early childhood literacy really well, which is one of our program and school improvement goals. And then another comment was that people were like, I have so much to learn from Colby. She just really shined through that social work perspective, gave a new light to the teaching position. So Colby's educational background in social work brings that unique perspective into classroom teaching. This, combined with her recent professional development focus on early childhood and her dedication to continuous learning, really makes her a great candidate for this position. Throughout her years within Williamston, she has proven her dedication to our families within Williamston, the program, and just her outright professionalism. It is with this combined with her willingness to always learn that I bring forth this recommendation for hire with great confidence.
Do you have any questions from Mrs. Wilson? Masters in social work. Wow.
We are lucky to have
You are very lucky. We are very, very lucky. Can I please have a motion?
I make a motion that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education hire Colby Whitaker to be the Little Hornets lead teacher beginning with the 2024-25 school year.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
So first Sarah, second Deb. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations on one of our new hires. The second up, I believe, is our high school principal. Dr. Doe. I'm sorry, it's been a day, I guess.
Good evening. I am excited to recommend Jenna Ellis be hired as a Spanish teacher at Williamston High School for the 24-25 school year. Jenna holds bachelor's and master's degrees in education, both granted from Western Michigan University. She graduated with 4.0s in both degrees. And to give you an idea of the caliber student and person she is, in college she earned the following honors and scholarships. She was president of Sigma Tau Delta English National Honor Society. She was a recipient of the Jean and Vincent Maelstrom Scholarship for the Study of Linguistics. She was a recipient of the College of Arts and Sciences Diversity and Inclusion Student Writing Award. She was a recipient of the English Department Student Scholarship. She was a recipient of the Masters of Arts in Teaching Secondary 2023 Cohort Scholarship. She was a member of Alpha Lambda Delta National Honor Society, and she was a recipient of the Bronco Gold Plus Merit Scholarship. So I think that tells us a lot about who she is as an individual and who she was as a student. She spent the 2023-24 school year completing her student teaching at Portage Central High School. Her references are outstanding. She is a former WHS graduate. So Mrs. Amy Ide, her former Spanish teacher who was on the hiring committee, was able to speak about her, and she said that Jenna was one of the hardest working students she's ever taught in her career as an educator at Williamston High School. Other references that knew her through her collegiate career and during her student teaching reported she was at the top of her cohort, both as a college student and during her student teaching, when it came to her individual work as well as working with students. So with all of that said, I enthusiastically recommend her candidacy as a Spanish teacher at Williamston High School to the board for consideration.
Miss Ellis, are you related to any of the Ellises that still teach here right now?
Yes, all of them. Yeah.
To both, Mr. and Mrs. Ellis. Wow.
It could be something that works in her favor. It could be held against her. We won't say.
Probably
what-
both.
Very exciting, though. I think you have two proud parents behind you.
Very much.
May I entertain a motion?
I make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education hire Jenna Ellis to be a teacher beginning with the 2024-25 school year.
Second.
So I have a first by Sarah, a second by Chris. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, I think we have both of our elementary principals here. But very excitingly, and that's not a word, but very excited to have a new hire for a music teacher.
Yes, we are very excited.
I do believe everybody got the resume emailed to them this afternoon.
So we are very happy to introduce Miss Allison Johnston. Allison has both an undergraduate and master's degree with a strong emphasis in the area of music, and her experience over the last 12 years in Ohio, in the state of Ohio, has really been a broad range of musical experiences, including working with all ages from elementary music, middle school vocal, up through high school band. She's really done it all. And her most recent experiences have been similar to the job that we would like to place her in, which is an elementary music classroom. Our process included not only 2 rounds of speaking with her and really asking her a lot about her philosophy and her approach and her experiences, but most convincingly really having the opportunity to watch her interact with some of our students and just see how developmentally appropriate and engaging she is with that elementary age group, which is really awesome to see. Cassie did some reference checking, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, just had a great conversation with her class principal, who just couldn't say just wonderful things about her, all the way from her dedication to the students to making sure that her classroom and her instruction is always engaging, her willingness to go the extra mile, her skill in doing programs and music with the kids, and also her ability to be really, really organized was something that her principal spoke to. She said that she was just an asset to to their district and their school.
We're so fortunate that someone with 12 years of experiences sort of came our way, but Allison has a very upcoming exciting event in her life. She's going to be married in a month, and moving to be with her fiance is really what brought her to Michigan and gave us an opportunity to meet with her. So although we're requesting your approval for the hire of Ms. Allison Johnston, in about a month from now, we will be calling her Mrs. McCullough. So with that, we would like to give you our highest recommendation for her hire this evening.
Very exciting. And someone who is very musically inclined. I'm very excited. For us, all of us. Do I have a motion, please?
Make a motion that the Williamston Board of Education hire Allison Johnston to be a teacher beginning with the 2024-25 school year.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And you have a first Sarah, second Julie. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations to our 3 new Williamston. Okay, moving right along. We're going to move into the rest of our agenda. We are not offended. I know you guys have a lot to do and probably have been here all day long. Please feel free, you're more than welcome to stay, but otherwise we will see you tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. At this time we have, it is open to citizen comments. Do we have any citizens in the audience that would like to come up to the podium? Okay. Celebrations. Adam.
Good evening, board members, and welcome to the 24-25 school year.
Yay.
Feels like we just wrapped up the last one, but hopefully, as you'll see tonight, it's been a very productive summer, and a lot of people have done a lot of great things to set us up for success, beginning tomorrow when we welcome back our full team, and next Monday when all our students return. I want to start off this evening with celebrations, and I guess the obvious one to start with is the successful approval by the community of our bond proposal last week. I'd like to personally thank the voters for their support and their recognition that this is a big win for kids in our community, and that's what it's all about. I'd also like to thank the board for supporting the proposals unanimously and putting your full support behind the ideas that were brought to you and pushing those forward across the finish line. We had numerous members of the community that served on the various committees throughout the process and were instrumental in making some really tough decisions in terms of what would stay and what would go from the proposal that was put forth to voters. Not always easy work, and it consumed a lot of their time, especially this past winter. But their recommendations were invaluable, their understanding of the community, and very appreciative of them, as well as members of the campaign committee who spent a lot of time, their energy and resources this summer to get the word out and again push this successfully through. So there's going to be a lot to follow on the bond. I know there's a lot of questions. I'm going to talk briefly about it tomorrow during my opening day superintendent's update for the staff. Our first planning meeting, post-election planning meeting, is this Thursday. And then I'm sure there'll be a regular cadence after that to coordinate the details and move forward. We have a very tentative timeline on some of the items. I can tell you holistically, this year is going to be very much about the planning process, designing, getting the bids established. So I've been kind of telling folks there's no construction equipment coming in next week. We want to make sure we do all that planning right, so we're not getting into a situation where we're paying for change orders and a lot of other expenses later. So we're going to take our time and do it right the first time. That's the plan. But obviously, the board will be kept updated as that unfolds, as will the community, and we'll be soliciting opportunities for input as we move forward with that. The other big celebration is the operating millage restoration or hedge, also being decisively passed by the community. I think I don't want to steal Sarah's thunder for later, but considering the state gave us a 0% or $0 per pupil foundation increase this year, being able to boost that up to the same level as pretty much all the other school districts around us is important. So essentially our community gave us, if you want to look at it that way, a per pupil foundation increase this year through the successful passage of that proposal, whereas the state legislature did not. So again, very appreciative of that. And again, just like the bond, these are wins for kids. And those resources will be put to good use in the classroom, in our facilities, equipment, hiring outstanding educators like you met earlier tonight to make sure we stay at the top, which is the expectation of us and the expectation of our community. I just have one story to highlight on the website, if that is available, or if we could pull that up. Obviously last year, and I usually only get the results before the community newsletter goes out in the spring from fall and winter sports, but fall and winter sports alone last year, I think we had 12 academic all-state teams, which is really impressive to say the least. This past spring, not only was the softball team named academic all-state, but they also earned the highest GPA in Michigan in Division II. So when you think about all the schools in Division II across the state of Michigan, they had the highest team cumulative GPA. So again, going back to that tradition of excellence here, extends on the softball field where they were undefeated in the conference, winning the conference championship, and also in the classroom where they earned that very impressive recognition. And then finally, and you'll see some examples of this tonight, although I don't know that the photos, there's much we can really do between photos and trying to explain it to do it justice, but I want to make sure to commend to the board the excellent work of our custodial and maintenance teams this summer who always go above and beyond. Again, we talk about that Williamston way. I mean, it's just the small details, right? The floor in the kitchen at the high school, right? It's that they took the time to finish that floor all the way through the back of that facility, into the storage room where the freezers are. I mean, there's like 3 people that'll go back there probably all year, right? But that attention to detail, I think, is representative. That commitment is representative of all their efforts. That it was making sure the job was done right and finishing it to its completion. And I think that mentality is throughout the district, and it's just as evident in the summer when our instructional staff and our students are gone as it is during the rest of the school year. The technology team, they had a lot of things they got accomplished this summer. Remember, there's just 3 of them. They brought in 1 person to assist, but really just the 3 of them leading the charge through that, and the amount they accomplished in just a couple months is impressive. Not to say the least of which, we had some major projects such as cyber safety enhancements, the Zero Eyes and camera synchronization that's getting ready to go live, and probably the largest lift, which I also need to give Rachel Foster a lot of credit for her leadership, moving to the electronic enrollment system and removing the 25 colored pages of paper that parents need to fill out for every single student every single year. And if you're like me and your child's in all 3 of our programs, filling that out 3 times a year. And the nice thing is, even though we're working through some inevitable obstacles and learning curves with that, In the future, you only will have to go in and make the changes or updates, so it's going to save parents and our secretaries a lot more time moving forward. So it's only going to get better and more efficient, but that was a very heavy lift, and between the techs and Rachel, they made that happen. And then lastly, I'd just like to credit the central office folks that stay there year-round. So Sarah Tynan and Betsy Ruckert, both here this evening, and Rachel, as I mentioned earlier, who are kind of hold down the fort in the summer and push through all the things that have to be done. So it's a small group. They work some long hours, including weekends when needed, and make a lot of things happen with just a small amount of people. And that's why we get away with running such a skeleton crew in central office, because we have that level of commitment. It allows us to take those monies and put them back into the classroom, working with students where they belong. That only happens when you get that work ethic and that commitment from that small group. So I wanted to make sure I acknowledge that for the board. Obviously, we'll touch base on that when we have the full staff back tomorrow morning. But pending any questions, those are celebrations for this evening.
Any questions? I just have one. I'm going to do a thank you just because I'm not sure if Brandon will still be here.
Oh, he's presenting, so.
Well, I mean, during the board report and requests. So I do want to extend a huge thank you to Brandon and Sarah and Adam for all of the pre-work. And I'm sure Betsy and Rachel did some of this also. But the pre-work that had to be done before we actually even got to the point of starting to recruit and publicize the bond was a lot. It was a significant amount. They've been working on this for a long time, and just even hashing out who to choose and all the questions, and it just was a lot of work. And I got to see that firsthand a little bit when I would be in meeting with Adam and seeing the piles and the papers and the conversation. So I thank you, three of you, the five of you, Rachel and Betsy, in your part that you played, because it was a lot of work, and it's going to continue to be a lot of work, and it's going to be exciting to start to see the ground break when the time comes. If there are no other questions or anything for Adam, we are going to move into our education update, which is our handy dandy Brandon, who makes things happen.
Good evening. It's trying to go through and put everything in just a couple slides to show you guys what we did. Like it never seems to bring it justice, but hopefully you guys see it just kind of going around the schools and try to highlight everything that you guys may not see also. The big ticket item this year was parking lots. That's what everyone's going to see. From parking back here for the meeting this evening to the Discovery staff parking lot. Discovery staff parking lot, this is a before and after picture on the left. This is before earlier this summer. On the right was just the last 2 weeks they were out here and did some surface repair, removal, and then filled back in with a little bit of new asphalt, and then crack sealed and seal coat it for us, just to give us some more life. That's one of the parking lots we're not anticipating any changes really coming to with any of the bond work, so just again trying to buy some time with that. The elementary bus loop, this is a big one. We have so many people going through that every day, 14 buses rolling through there, plus the preschool, and then plus all the other events with open house on Wednesday night, and then again with ice cream social and basketball practices and all that good stuff in the evenings. The middle school parking lot, that's the big one. Again, that's, all the meetings and stuff going on in the middle school events, and then football practice, softball games, people coming to vote for bond renewals, stuff like that. The overflow parking lot, this is the lot, which I don't even know if most people know where this is, but this is just between the middle school and high school. We had a lot of parents parked there if they have students going to both schools. And then again, that was in rough shape and something we're not really anticipating any changes coming with the bond work. Going into the school, the middle school, 6th and 7th grade, Restrooms, both boys and girls, we had new partitions installed this summer. These are, when the doors close, there's no gap, so you can't see through. It's approximately 4 inches off the floor and approximately 10 to 14 inches clearance to the ceiling. The middle school gym, LED lights were installed by the maintenance staff. This happened pretty early on this summer. Again, just something that most people probably won't even notice. You know, the kids probably won't notice it, but the gym teacher notices, and maybe parents notice when they come to events. Exterior door replacement. This was done with the school security and safety funding. The door on the left was a wooden door from 1950 era of Explorer in a classroom. So that was removed. The door on the right-hand side, it was a 7th grade wing in the middle school. And then the door in the middle is door number 7 that goes to the pool chemical room at the high school. We still have 2 doors to finish, and they're anticipated to be complete this week. It's door 7 and door 8 at the high school, and they go to storage rooms for the pool, chemical, and mechanical rooms. We did additional camera updates this year, so we replaced approximately 25 cameras throughout the district, and the biggest thing was we're getting rid of the analog cameras and converting to digital cameras, and with that, now we're able to use the Zero Eyes technology, which I don't know if, do you want me to go into that or not?
You can hit the highlights. That's fine.
Essentially, the Zero Eye technology, I'm still learning about it. We just did a webinar on it last week with the onboarding process. But essentially, it's a weapon detection software, and it will detect, hey, if there's a weapon, and if there is a weapon, then someone at their command center verifies the video and says, yes, this is a weapon, sends an alert to the administrators at that building, ADAM, school resource officers, or a K-9 unit. And everything's verified, and then all the administration in the district gets an alert saying where it's at and showing you a screenshot of that camera. So you could see it's someone wearing a black hooded sweatshirt.
The cameras were 31AA, and Zero Eyes was through a separate safety grant that the district applied for. That's how we were able to afford that cost. And we have I believe it's a 5-year license currently.
The high school, this was kind of spearheaded by the high school administration, but with the help of the facilities, we started phase 1 last winter, I think it was. We put new carpet in, and then this summer they got some of the office work installed. This is the athletic counseling office, the new desk with the carpet, and then the assistant principal, athletic director, they got some new cabinetry done in their office, and then the main office area where the secretaries are, there's an issue with the fabrication of their desk, so they have temporary desk right now, and hopefully we'll have that in the next couple months. We'll have some new desks for them. It's hodgepodge. You'll see it if you peek in there tomorrow. Another big initiative that we've been working on ever since I've been here is the bottle fillers, and just converting drinking fountains to bottle fillers and making sure it's safe water for everyone to drink. The state came out with new legislation last year that's saying by the end of the 24-25 school year, every source has to be filtered, and the filter has to meet standard 42 and 53, which is for lead reduction and particle reduction. We're already doing that everywhere we did have water bottle fillers, and this summer we just continue to go on and replace drinking fountains that were not filtered, and we installed those. So we did the 7th grade here at the middle school. That was one. We had 2 done in the Discovery Gym. The 1st grade gym, there was a hallway drinking fountain outside of the cafeteria library at the elementary school. In the office of the Discovery, near the sick room, there was one. Just a drinking fountain that was installed with a bottle filler. And the guys are finishing up. They have 2 more to do inside the high school with the dome area, so those should be complete tomorrow. And then the last things we'll have to do is the pool and fitness center areas, which I think they had 1 installed already today, so we just got a few more to do over there. Something that came up in our annual inspection of our fire suppression system was some of the sprinkler heads could be corroding and leaking. We haven't had any of those issues yet, but we did have some funding, so we replaced approximately 300 sprinkler heads in Discovery Elementary this summer. Kind of bouncing around a little bit is the high school robotics room floor. We put in a epoxy coat floor in there. Last year they had some new furniture with those workbenches and some other pieces like that, but this year we got the floor done for them. Middle school, they did, their administration, they had 3 classrooms that were complete with new furniture, and this is a screenshot of some of the new furniture that was installed. Little Hornets classroom technology, it's not done yet. We have 4 days to go, but in this photo, you see some wires hanging from the ceiling. So there will be a projector like what there is in here now in the boardroom with a new screen that's installed. And then there's a teacher document camera. So the teacher essentially is able to have their work on a camera and they're able to put it up on the screen for the kids. So I believe that's in now. We're just waiting for either the maintenance guys or the IT guys have some free time to get that put up by Monday. High school art room tables. We had 4 new tables ordered and the custodial staff installed those. They had some other tables similar to those that are still there, but they're, you know, some lockers with storage underneath, and then it's a really hard, almost like a butcher block top in the art room. High school flooring. We did the same contractor did the floors in the 2 restrooms, the staff restrooms at the high school. It's the one on the left. The photo on the right is the conference room at the high school. That is, I had new carpet installed this summer, and that's some new cabinetry along the wall. The high school calm room. This is spearheaded by Heather Lewis, and new carpet in there, new paint. She's ordered some couch, some kind of pub bar tables, stools. We installed a new kitchenette in there for them, and she has some more furniture that's, as it shows up, we've been putting it together for her. This is the picture of the chiller that services the Explorer Elementary and Kids Corner. This was just one that, for some reason, never had a fence around it, so we put a fence up around it this summer. It helps keep, helps keep the kids away. And we did have, I never did see the babies, but we did have a mother duck with about 15 eggs in a nest back there this spring. That's kind of the summer in a nutshell. Some of the big, heavy-hitting pieces, but if there's any questions, please fire away.
Anybody have any questions for Brandon? I just, again, want to thank you for someone personally who had an unexpected renovation that took way over a year to then see how much we get done in the summertime is, on my end, it was infuriating. On this end, it was just miraculous to see how much is done. And I know this is only a small sliver, so
Yeah.
thank you and all of the custodial staff for how hard they worked during the summer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's pretty amazing. Any other questions?
There's some things too. This is not an all-inclusive list. I mean, I'm just off the top of my head jotting things down here to talk about, like the new Hornet on the facade at the front of the middle school, the paving throughout the concourse at the track and football complex has all been done. So, I mean, it looks great, completely different than it has in the last few years. The lights at the middle school gym, not only the lights in, but they also connected safety cables to all those. So if they're hit by a ball or something, they're not going to come down on somebody. So it's, again, a Williamston Way idea, right? All those little extra things, they're not going to be on a slide, but that's the work that's getting done. And when you add all that together, that's what's giving folks the impression of the facilities and grounds when they come to our schools.
It looks really nice.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you. All right, budget updates, yay.
Are you okay with me staying here to?
You can,
Okay.
you can do
Okay.
whatever you'd like.
So we'll see how I do with this. But as Adam mentioned, we had some disturbing things come up in the state budget. But so item number one, just
I love that word.
prefacing this, that everything's based on assumptions at this point, especially how these items will work out. But we did want to bring that to you and just the most impactful items for our district. So item number two, our original budget, we ended up estimating about a $217 per pupil increase. And as Adam mentioned, that is not happening. So that is about $405,000 we will not be seeing this year. However, they've done some other things to try to mitigate that. And item number three kind of walks through those three big items. So item number one is this MIPSR's reimbursement, or 147. They call it UAAL sometimes as well. So typically that is an item on our state aid that comes in, and we immediately just push it right back out to ORS. So it's an in and out. What we believe this is going to look like is an additional line item of revenue that we keep that little small portion of it. So based on some numbers that the ISD and MEA have, or MEA and MSBO reviewed, it's going to look like for us a $362 per pupil amount. And we're only showing it in a per pupil amount for your understanding. It's not based on that, it's not calculated on per pupil. And the really frustrating piece about this is that it's really inequitable, especially you'll see in the italics there in my memo. For example, Waverly Community Schools is anticipating about $480 on this light item per pupil, if we're looking at it on a per pupil basis. So item B, at risk, is increasing about $22 per pupil. Every single district is going to see that same per pupil increase in their at risk, which is great. Item C, 31AA, mental health and school safety, that's being reduced by approximately $211 per pupil. So every single district will feel that reduction of $211 per pupil. So I believe that was about $411, $412 per pupil last year. So that's a big hit. Fortunately I'll come back to that. So the net impact for our district of all these changes is we were expecting a $217 increase per pupil, but we are only going to see a $173 per pupil increase. So that's a reduction of about $81,000. Fortunately, due to how Adam and I have budgeted, trying to be really strategic, especially with these salary coverages and losing a lot of the funding that's covering our salaries, we strategically plan to have our 31AA from last fiscal year roll into this year. So we are not going to feel that impact at all, thank goodness. And so given these adjustments, we are going to have basically a balanced budget coming out of these changes. But again, what we really want to hit on here is the inequitable, like this item A, the MIPSR's 147, how inequitable that is. So one of those attachments we provided you is what the ISD estimated each district's amount will be, and you'll see in the high to low, some districts will see an increase per pupil of about 354, and you can see we're third from the bottom at that 173. So obviously not great for us, we're very frustrated by that. But again, long term we are going to lose that money, but we will not feel it this year, fortunately.
So will we feel it in, what would that be,
Well,
2025, 2026?
Next year, we would have planned for not having any 131AA, so
Correct.
we're kind of going to be about where we expected to it. There's some districts that were planning on getting a big chunk of this 31AA, and they're not getting it, and now they're coming into a deficit. So because we planned the way that we did, it just so happened we won't.
Weren't we supposed to see like a $500,000 net we were talking about, like when that comes through? So is that included in this balance?
So if you see it line 3A, the estimate is $678,000. That's what our amount is expected to be from the MIPSR's UAL. And is that what you're thinking?
Didn't we have an when we increased the wages, and we said that we were going to see an increase reducing on our, maybe not.
On the
I'll
fund
have to go
balance?
back and look at my notes.
On fund balance?
On our fund balance, yeah, we were gonna
Yeah.
see our fund balance drop by like 500 because of the wage increases that we
Oh, I see
gave.
what you're saying. So
Yes.
I believe it was like a 238 or so, and actually maybe even oh, I didn't include it in there. So it was gonna be, we would pull like 200-something thousand from fund balance. This year, because of thankfully the 31 AAs where the impact is being felt, we're gonna be about a zero.
It is, that is, okay. I was just wondering if that was taking that into
Depending
consideration,
on how
okay.
the shape.
I know, everybody.
This is number one.
So it's, obviously, long-term, the impact still isn't great, but we're gonna be fine.
Okay.
For the short term at least. And then item number 4 down there is really, we really don't have much detail on it, but we do have employees who have been contributing 3% for retiree health care. Again, it's only if you're on like this older retirement plan, and what they're expecting is that they will like reimburse you for last year's amount. We don't know what that's gonna look like yet. We don't know how those payments are gonna go through, so we're kind of holding off on giving too much guidance on that, but just more funky things coming through from the state. So, any questions?
I mean, I
probably don't have the
I want to
answers.
add a couple things. One,
You did a great job. This
Yes.
Thank you.
was good.
yeah, I mean, the reason we're in the shape we are is because of the way Sarah has planned. Because you can look at news, I mean, just open up, there's districts all over the state that are
Really
they were in
struggling.
bad shape. They were in bad shape because the ESSER funding was ending, and they didn't, the way they planned it out, they cut a lot of resources. They didn't have that long-term vision for how that would be used and how to create sustainable processes, systems, whatever the money was invested for. But the other piece then to compound that was the surprise of the 31 AA funding, which, had been messaged, these are one-time funds, but then, when you looked at the governor, the Senate, and the House budget, I think their lowest amount was like $150 million to be appropriated. And then at like 3 in the morning, the day before the budget had to be done in June, that miraculously got cut to like, I don't know, there's 24 million or 26 million, whatever it got cut down to. But they had a lot of money to fund these special projects all over the state, right? I mean, I think I sent you the article from Bridge Magazine, so there's just random stuff happening. But this big focus on school safety and mental health that was very trendy for a year, 2 years, is now, I don't know if they've lost interest or what, but it's not there. The other piece that, I want to make sure I remind everybody, I know the board knows this, but just for folks listening at home, I know we passed a bond, but just a reminder that the bond can't be used for operational expenses. It can only be used for facilities, capital investment, and it's the things that were on the ballot language. So if it's not that, can't use it for that. So it's not paying salaries, it's not making up for loss of revenue through state funding, or it's not doing any of that stuff. And I think the most important piece, I'm upset about the safety and mental health funding, because that's been such a major initiative. But I also want to say we're going to continue to push forward on that, as you've already seen some examples of tonight. We're not done. We're going to push forward on that despite the state's lack of interest in supporting that. But I think the biggest piece for Williamston families to take away for our staff, and this kind of goes back to the idea of public intellectualism that I've talked about in the past, that we don't want to dumb down what's happening here for the community. We got a lot of smart people. They can understand the stuff. We just got to make sure we present them the information. Williamston's overcome, since Proposal A was passed back in the early 90s, this lack of equity in terms of funding, right? So like a child at Okemos, right down the road, was funded, upwards of $1,000 more a student than in Williamston. So was a child in Okemos' education worth $1,000 more than the child 5 minutes down the road on Grand River? We finally got that equalized for the most part, but now we're kind of going back to the same in terms of how the state, the different variables they look at, which is interesting because the House and Senate, they don't use the same variables, which is, I think, concerning. But anyway, the fact that, and it's not even based on the size of the school, right? So, Stockbridge is 4th from the top. We're larger than Stockbridge, but we're 3rd from the bottom in terms of overall funding. So why, and I'm not saying, this is great for those districts, but, a child's education in Waverly at $354 or Stockbridge at $252 or Hazlitt at $228, et cetera, et cetera. Why is their education worth that and the education of a child in Williamston only worth $173? And I think that's, again, we have to communicate that not only to our parents and our community, because we're kind of going backwards again, but also to our elected officials, that it's not acceptable that a child in Williamston, who we have the top-rated district, sorry, but we do, top-rated high school, top-rated middle school, straight A's across the board, why are we only being funded at $173 a student? So again, we're not complaining. I mean, we'll take what we got and we'll make great use of it, but when you're talking about equity, there's a lot to be desired here. And I think it's a very disappointing budget, and I think the thing that made it worse is the attempts at spinning it as this great thing for schools, what they did out of the state budget, and it's not. At least it's not for us. So I'll stop editorializing now, but I do think it's important that we say this, understand it, and communicate it, because it's not right.
Thanks, Adam.
And I do agree with Adam on this. It's, you know, when you walk around our district and see our shiny floors and our new offices, and that's because we have Sarah and Adam who budget very, very well. We knew that we were gonna get this COVID money, and it wasn't gonna stay. So we used it in ways that would help and benefit, but knowing that it wasn't gonna be here forever. I think that's really hard for our staff and families to understand. So as much education as we can do, like, we are this superb district, academically, athletically, with our athletics, with our buildings, with, you know, our facilities, all of that. But yet we are funded so low, and it's not, I mean, we really have to work really hard to use the money that we have to be able to do the things that we do, and I think it is a huge credit to the staff, to Sarah and Adam, for what they do and how they can get things done. But I do think we really do need to educate our families, especially when they say, well, you just got a bond. You know, you have the sinking fund, you have this, and not understanding what you use when and passing this bond. So I think that's really important. So on that, I do understand that finance, if you haven't been on the finance committee, this can be really hard to understand. If at any time you want to meet with Sarah, Adam does a good job too. Sarah does a better job of putting it in like real life terms that are, when you use that wording to parents or any other community member, they're kind of like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like a mortgage, it's like this, it's, you know, they seem to then get it. And contacting your elected officials.
And I do want to clarify too, like, Williamston, our community comes through for our schools time and time and time again. And they'll do it through the bond, they'll do it through the sinking fund, they'll do it to support, you know, science and mathematics and science STEAM education, and, you know, the soccer team, and, you know, I mean, Williamston is great. They come through for us over and over again, but we should expect the same kind of commitment from the elected officials we have that represent us, that have control, have input over the state budget. And the numbers speak for themselves. And this isn't coming from Sarah and I, this is coming from the Michigan Education Association and the Michigan School Business Officials Association as well. So
Also the MASB.
yeah, MSBO.
But the MASB was also against.
Well, everybody was against this. I mean, it's the only time I've ever seen every educational association in the state all in agreement on the same issue. And there are a lot of reasons why. I mean, again, if the state's got $173, if that's what they have, I mean, okay, we'll be grateful for that and we'll make great use of it. But if you have money that you can fund these other districts at higher levels than us, now I have questions. So anyway, but I just want to make sure I distinguish between Williamston community, which goes above and beyond to support us, and we're extremely grateful for that, and the lack of attention to detail by the state legislature, who felt we were not worth the same level of funding as other districts in our county and in the state.
Any other questions about this?
And Adam goes into much more depth, in this week's podcast.
Well, I tried to be very balanced, but it is what it is.
Okay, superintendent's report.
Well, tomorrow, the big one is opening day at 8 o'clock at the high school commons, same as it's been the last several years. So we'll use that to kick off the year. It's a pretty short program in the morning. We don't have a big name keynote speaker coming in like last year. We don't have an activity or anything like that. I think the main piece we want to do is get there, go through those things, get everything going, but then there's a lot of work to be done. New updated board goals, updated school improvement plans, and we want to get our staff back out to their buildings to jump into that work. and then get the rest of our departments back to what they need to be doing to make sure we're ready for kids on Monday. So shorter program tomorrow, but it'll be a good one and a good way to jump the year off to a good start. Open houses are Wednesday and Thursday this week, same schedule as usual at the elementaries and then the secondary. And then the first day of school is Monday, the 19th. Next board meeting's on the 26th of August, and one of the highlights from that agenda is we'll be going in a closed session to review the updates to the emergency operations plan that were made over the summer. If any questions, that's the report for this evening.
All right, thank you. We do not have any board committee reports, discussion items. MASB Diamond Anniversary Thank You Gift. They gave each district, I believe it was $750, or something around there. Maybe it was $750.
Yeah.
They kind of gave examples of how you could use this. One way is to like do any trainings as a large group. So we do have our training coming in January. We just thought we would use that money to pay for that training. Second thing, MASB has their fall conference. I believe Sarah has done this in the past. I have to be at this conference, so I'm more than willing to be the delegate for that Thursday night. Is there anyone, if something crazy happens, Sarah, will you be the alternative?
Yeah, it's at Lansing, yes.
Yes, it's in town.
I'll
Yep.
be your alternate. It's very easy to get, I did it last year, it's very easy to get in and out of that parking area.
Okay, we will vote on those in August and get those names submitted. Next, we're on to action items. Can I have a motion for the consent for our minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the special meeting of July 15th, 2024.
Second.
So I have a first Deb, second Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the next we have a roll call vote. This is to approve the amendment to our superintendent's contract. Can I have a motion to approve to make the amendment to Adam's contract that we discussed last meeting? Anybody can make this motion.
Okay. I make a motion that the
Thank you.
Williamston Community Schools Board of Education amend the superintendent contract to read as follows. Evaluation. The superintendent's performance shall be evaluated at least annually using multiple rating categories that take into account data on student growth as required by section 1249 and 1249B of the revised school code or successor provisions. If permitted under law, the Board of Education may conduct the superintendent's evaluation on a biannual basis. If the superintendent wishes to file an appeal concerning the evaluation process and/or a rating of less than effective received under the evaluation, the Board of Education and the superintendent shall mutually agree to having a third party hear and decide the appeal. The decision of the third party shall be binding on the Board of Education and superintendent. The school district shall cover expenses associated with the services provided by the third party.
Second.
Okay, so I have a first Sarah, second Chris. Any other discussion before we go into roll call? I do want to clarify, just because of the pause, it's not a pause that we'll see as we go through roll call. Just a reminder, this is part of the new law that if a superintendent or an administrator, it is administrator too, correct? Has 2 consecutive years of
3 years.
3 years of highly effective, then we can go to an every other year. So because Adam has had 3 years, next year he does not have to be evaluated. This is the language, this long motion is actually the language that will be put into his contract. That's why we needed that whole thing read. In January, we will do our training, the new training that we have to do. We'll kind of use this year as a trial year to get used to the evaluation tool, and then the following year will be his real evaluation, like we've done every other year. So bring this to roll call, are we all clear on what this was? Okay, Amanda, will you take us through roll call, please?
Amanda? Yes. Chris?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
And Nancy?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. We have our review of our board goals. On the back here, we do have some correspondence, some resignation letters and retirement letters that have been turned in. Anything that you want to share about that?
I'd just like to make sure, draw the board's attention to Loretta Larson, her retirement. She's stepping back to take care of some family things. But our longest serving member of our food service team has done an excellent job for a long time, and look forward to celebrating her later into the year as we start to recognize our retirees. So, but I appreciate everything she's done. Kind of one of those unsung heroes of the district that does great things every day, but doesn't get a lot of attention for her efforts. So thank you, and good luck in retirement, and we'll honor her later this school year.
All right. At this point of the meeting, we have another time for citizen comments, which we have none. The next is board member reports and requests. Anything?
Just save the date for ISOA. They're starting to put it out earlier this year because we're going to have the legislative breakfast, which is October 2nd, and there's no cap as far as only having a certain number of board members per school. So anybody, we can have more than 3. So if you would like to attend, let me know. It's not until October, but if you let me know beforehand, that would be appreciated. I will know more information as to who will be at that breakfast, but we have representatives that come from both sides of the aisle, and if you want to be a part of that, let me know.
In the past, this is actually a really good opportunity to listen to the candidates, both the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate. It's been done different ways in the past. Like when I first went to one, when I was first on the board, they gave them topics to talk about, and people that just kind of talk. They had a time limit. And other times there's questions that they have to answer. So I'm not sure how this one will run.
This one is the information that I have learned is that obviously the questions and the conversation will be around education.
Yes.
So
it's around education. Yes, I should clarify that. It is around education.
Yes, and it's going to be at the Wilson Talent Center, and the breakfast is served by students within the culinary education program, and the food is prepared by them as well. So it's a really nice opportunity to see that part of the Wilson Talent Center firsthand. And also, I mean, like Adam said and Nancy said tonight, it's nice to get your face in front of these legislators and hear what they have to say and how they're going to help, hopefully, education.
And the culinary program does an amazing job.
They
Their
do.
food is very
They do a
good.
really great job.
Very, very good. Anything else? And I'm gonna do, did you have something, Amanda? I'm sorry.
No, Deborah and I were just looking that it looks like it says it's at the ISD.
Yes.
So the Wilson
Yeah.
Talent Center is
Yes,
behind the
yes.
ISD, part of the same
Oh,
campus.
yes, sorry, yes.
Thank
It
you.
may say, yes.
Yeah, it's part of the same campus.
You can put me down for that, Sarah.
Okay.
I again want to thank Adam, Brandon, Sarah, Betsy, Rachel. I know there was board members that sat on the bond committee. I know there was staff that sat on that bond committee and community members that sat on the bond committee. And there were a lot of meetings in a short period of time to roll this out and get it out to the community and to vote. So again, I thank everybody who participated in this and helped us get this yes vote. Anything else? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
So first by Chris, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Sarah, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, enjoy your evening.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Sarah, you can put me down for October 2nd.